Hi all, I'm Ade from Liquid Earth. It's a channel all about video and photography, so if that interests you, consider subscribing. I'm posting every week. Today we've got a quick start guide and overview of the OM4, the new gimbal from DJI. So what is a gimbal and why do you need it? Well, most phones come with inbuilt stabilization, but it's still very difficult when you're trying to keep that camera steady and stop it from shaking, especially if you're moving around a subject or an object or up and down at low angles. Keeping the horizon straight is virtually impossible, and you're going to get inevitable shakes and bumps in your footage. That's where the gimbal comes in handy, because that's going to iron out all of those shakes and bumps and keep the smooth footage for you. So let's first get started by connecting the camera to the gimbal. And the OM4 comes with two options of magnetic devices for attaching to your camera. The first option is this permanent magnet that you stick to the back of your camera or case if you've got a case that's suitable. And that's a great option if you never want to balance your gimbal again. All you need to do is use this template. It's got this little sticky part as well here, and it's got this little notch. You just line that up with the back. The sticky part stops it from moving, and then you use the pads, and there's various ones depending on the device. Follow the instructions and then just stick it into place here using the notch. This then comes off over the top and you've got this permanently stuck to your phone. It is a couple of millimeters thick, so bear that in mind. And I don't use it because I use this type of case, which is one of these flap out ones, and I don't use that case when I'm filming because it's a bit awkward to keep opening and closing it. So I use it bare, and I use the second option, which is this. So this is a little device that clamps to your phone. You do need a little bit of balancing, but once you've balanced once, then you're good to go all the way through your filming. So all you do is you make sure, first of all, this little arrow here has got to be pointing in the right direction, and that's the direction that you want to put your camera. So just literally connect the camera, use the clamp, get it roughly in position, and then you've got these notches on here and they line up with the notches here, but it fixes really nice and steady, and it's very easy to take on and off, and you can take phone calls and stick it back on again and start filming. But to balance, then just hold the arm and then make sure that horizontally it's not moving. That looks pretty good already. And then go vertical and make sure that's not moving. And if it is, then you've got this option to slide left and right. So if it's not balanced, this will happen. All you need to do is make sure that that's balanced so that it doesn't move. Check the horizontal and the vertical, and you're good to go. Next, download the Osmo Mimo app. That will allow you to connect the phone to the device, and you'll have all the options then available. Now to turn on, we're just going to press and hold on the M button here, and that's going to spring to life, and it's going to start in the vertical. If we double click, we'll get to the horizontal position. So let's take you around all of the features and functions of the gimbal itself. You've got a little charging port here. Also there's a USB port that you can charge your phone directly from the gimbal, which is really useful because this will last about 14 hours and your phone won't last that long, I'm sure. On the side you've got this little rocker switch. That's your zoom function, so I can zoom in and out of the footage. Bear in mind the little points are where your fixed cameras are, so if you go past those you're into digital zoom and you've got to degrade the quality a little bit, so be careful with that setting. And you can change the speed of the zoom in the settings as well. Then you've got the buttons at the front, so you've got the joystick control that moves your gimbal left and right, up and down. I would recommend though just use your arm to go up and down, left and right. You do get smoother footage that way, I've found. The record button that if you press is going to record, or if you're in photo mode take a picture, and then you've got the M button on the front that you can turn on and off, and it's got some other functions. Then there's a trigger at the back. That's really useful. So first of all, in its default follow mode, out of the box, then it's going to allow you to tilt up and down, left and right, but it's going to lock the roll axis, keeping the horizon nice and straight. And it's also going to make sure that it's ironing out all of those wobbles and shakes whilst it's turning up and down, left and right. So you've got the trigger options. There's various functions. First of all, if you click it once and hold it, then you've locked all three axes, so you can't turn, tilt or roll. Ideal if you want to keep something fixed in your filming. If you press twice, you recenter the gimbal. So if you're out askew, if you've used the joystick for instance, just double press and that's going to center it up for you. If you click 3 times, it's going to change from the back facing to the front facing camera. Click 3 times again, but do it properly, and it's going to turn it back round again. If you click twice but hold on the second time, it's going to enter sports mode. That allows you to quickly turn and move, ideal for tracking fast moving sports, children, kids, that sort of thing. When you release it, it automatically turns the sport mode off. If you just press once, you're into active track. So if I press once here, you'll notice it draws a green box around your subject, something that's in the center. And now it's going to focus and track, so I can move the camera, but notice it's keeping that nicely tracked for me. I can use the joystick to go up and down, left and right, so I can position the subject where I want in the frame. If I triple click to go to myself, I can then use the trigger to press once to actively track on myself, ideal for vlogging, that sort of thing. Again, use the joystick control to position maybe a little bit higher to the left or to the right, whatever takes your fancy. And the M button at the front, if you long press that, you'll hear a beep, it will put it into standby. Long press to beep again and it will come to life. And if you give it a longer press, you'll hear 2 beeps, that will turn it off completely. And again, you can just keep a long press on there and it will come back to life. Okay, let's have a look at the Mimo app and all of the functions available there for you. I'm going to double click on the M button, that will put it into vertical mode. Double click to recenter, use the joystick. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at all of the options along the bottom. So you've got various options. Let's start with the video mode then. So in the video mode, all you need to do is press the record to start the recording and press it to stop. At the top in the center there, you've got your settings, so you can change your resolution and frame rate. I'd recommend 4K or HD, which is the 1080. 30 frames per second is used mainly in America, North America and Japan, and 25 frames per second is the standard in Europe generally. But I found that using the 30 frames per second, I'm in the UK, isn't a problem. I use that on TV, I use that in general because with the iPhone it only records on its native app in 30, it doesn't do 25, so I use 30. I've got professional cameras, I use 30 frames per second on that. A lot of people will tell you in the UK use 25, but I haven't found there's any difference even when viewing on the TV. So 30 frames per second is where I would stick at. And then you've got the photo mode, so if you press the photo mode, again you just press the shutter button once to take the picture, and then you've got the photo mode, so I can scroll to the photo mode. Pressing on the record is going to take a picture, and keeping it pressed is going to take multiple pictures. There's some other options that are well worth exploring and are really useful. Let's go into the pano. So the pano gives you 3 options. And let's start with the brand new one. It's the Clone Me option. So on the right hand side, make sure you go and choose pano, and then on the left, second icon up, you can choose the options. So the third one is the Clone Me option, which I'm in already. So for this one, all we need to do is make sure that we're within that lighter frame and press record. So I'm going to take my microphone off and give it a go. And there we have it. That's how to use the Clone Me. So let's go back into our pano. Let's turn the camera around and let's try a sunset. So let's turn around a little bit, press the pano mode again, and this time we've got the 240. So let's start around about here. All we've got to do is position the center of the stitched image as the first point. So we're here right in the center, and then if I press record, the camera's going to spin around and it's going to take 7 or so pictures and give us a 240 panoramic. There you go. I'm going to come out of that and then go to the final option, which is the 3x3. So this is the 3x3 mode here. Let's position ourselves a little bit higher, so I want this in the center of the stitch. So let's start there, press record. Spins into action, really quick, and it's even quicker just to stitch the final result together. And there we have it, 3x3 panoramic. You've got slow motion options. I would say with any of the options here, sometimes with an Android you don't get all of the resolution and frames per second options, so just note that if you don't, you can still use the gimbal with your native app. just make sure that you're connected to the Mimo app and then go into your native app and you can still film with the gimbal. Whatever mode you're in the Mimo app, that's the mode you're going to be in your native app. Then you've got this Dyna Zoom option. So with Dyna Zoom, it's one of those effects that you might have seen out of Jaws with Roy Schneider. So you're moving into the subject, it's trying to keep the subject the same size, but even though you're walking in, the background is zooming out, and vice versa, you can walk out and the background will zoom in. I'll give you a little example here. So you can move in or move out, just follow the instructions on screen. You need to drag a rectangle around your subject and then it will track that, and all you need to do is press record and then start walking in or walking out depending on the option that you've chosen. So here I'm walking out, but look at the background, it's zooming in. It's quite a fun effect. As soon as you stop recording, it will stitch the movie together in just a few seconds. So in this example, I'm now walking towards Poppy, and look at the background, that's moving away. And then I tried walking in and around the subject. Here's how it came out. It uses optical zoom, so it's a 1280 by 720 file, slightly lower than HD, but here's how it looks anyway, and this is a HD movie. Now we've got time-lapse and hyperlapse options as well. So let's deal with the hyperlapse first. So in the hyperlapse, that allows you to walk through a scenario or a scene, and then it's going to speed up that footage into this nice hyperlapse. There's a couple of options. So if you press the central button at the top there, make sure that you're on the right resolution, and then you can check the speed. So you've got anything from 5 to 30 times. 15 to 30 times is where I think you should sit on that. And all you do is you literally press the record button, start walking, press the record button, and it will stitch together your hyperlapse. The same as the time lapse, only the time lapse you're on a tripod generally. And with the time lapse, you've got this little drop down option at the top, and you can set the interval time, so every 1 second, 2 seconds, and so on. You can also set the duration, so that's how long you want it to keep going. And at the top there, notice it's got this little number 6 at the moment. That tells me that the final output will be 6 seconds long. And when I change, so if I go to 10 minutes, you can see it changes that time. And then again, if you just want a fixed time lapse, press the record to start and the record to stop. Or you can do the motion time lapse. This is great. Press the little path icon and you'll see that you've got this little blue icon with a plus. Position your gimbal first of all into the first position and press the blue icon. That's going to fix that. Then move the gimbal using the joystick control and press the blue again. You can set up to 4 paths, you don't have to. You can even go up and down. When you've finished, then all you need to do is press record. Notice that the gimbal now moves to the first path and works its way through to the last path. And that will take exactly how long it told you. And you've got this little countdown icon here so you can check to see how long you've got to go. If though you want to stop it at any time, you can just press the record and it will stop that where you are. It will still stitch it together. It won't take long. And then you can go into your play icon here and you can choose the latest little option. This won't be long because I haven't let it go long, but you've got this little time lapse with a motion effect. Here's an example of how that looks. And then you've got this really useful story mode. If you press this little pink icon here, or you just scroll into your story mode, you've got a series of templates on the right hand side, and if you press one of those, notice that it will give you some clips at the bottom. Press start. So at the bottom you've got these little squares and it's got a little time on them, 2 or 3 seconds or so, and literally all you do is you hold the camera still, you press the record button on the screen or on your gimbal, give you a countdown icon, and then it's going to take that little clip for you. At any time you can press retake and retake any clip. If you're happy, press record to move to the next step and record again to start recording the next clip and work your way all the way through them. Once you're done, and if you don't want to retake any more, just press the preview. That will give you an idea of how it's going to look. Press the next, then deselect these little 2 options that I've got here, otherwise they'll overwrite your video with that information. Press save, and now it's going to save that video to your camera, to camera roll. Now you've got the option then to save a template, which means you can use that template again. I'm going to skip that, and then it's going to ask you if you want to save and post. If you don't want to post but still want to save, just press the cross. It will still save your video for you. Press the OK, and then we go into our little play icon on the bottom right hand side here. Press the play, and it puts together all of the clips in a little mini movie for you. It gives you sound effects or music, it gives you overlays and transitions and a bit of colour grading. Great for posting very quickly onto social media or doing little mini clips. Okay, now let's go into the settings on the app. So if you press these three little dots here, you've got various options. So you can turn the flash on or off, you've got some white balance options, and you can put a grid over your image if you want, so that you can line it up and take better videos with good composition. Pressing the gimbal mode, then you've got various options at the top. So the default is the follow that we talked about, but let's have a look at the rest. You've got tilt locked, so if you're in tilt locked, now you can no longer move the camera up and down or tilt. You can still turn left and right, and you can't roll still because that's still locked. Next option here is the FPV. So if we go into the FPV mode, that's first person view, and that unlocks all three axes. It's the only mode that does it, so it allows you now to roll. You can still turn, you can still go up and down, but you can roll if you want to get some different types of effects for your videos. Next option is the spin shot. So in spin shot, it allows you to use the joystick and it will turn the camera very slowly or smoothly, and you can set the speed again and take some different types of footage with that. Okay, so back into our settings under the gimbal icon, you've got the zoom speed there, so that's how quickly you zoom in and out, so I like to keep that fairly slow. Then you've got your control stick speed, so at the moment we're on medium. Your control stick speed allows you to check how fast you want to move the gimbal when you're using the joystick control here. So if I go to fast, now I'm in this FPV mode, so I can show you how quickly this turns. If I go into slow, much slower. Double click to reset. You can invert your settings if you want to. I don't, I'll keep it standard. And then you've got press M button and you've got an option. Actually by default you're on photo video, and all that means is you press the M button and it will swap from photo to video very quickly. I like the quick menu though. If you choose the quick menu, just press quick menu. Now what happens is if I press the M button, I get all of the options on the left hand side, video, photo. I use the joystick, go to the right, and I can change those 4 modes there. So I prefer to keep that, but set it up how you prefer. And that's your quick start guide for the OM4. I hope that was useful. If it was, subscribe. I'm posting every week and I really appreciate your support. If you want to see more videos, then on the bottom right hand side you'll see a little link to my playlist for all of the gimbals. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.